He bought his first stock at 11 and his first business at 15. These are just some of the highlights of Warren Buffett's exceptional story that brought him to be the best investor ever and one of the richest persons in the world. And this means that we can learn a lot from it and that we can apply it to our life. So in this video, we'll go through his childhood, his teenagerhood, his studies, his first job, and finally his partnerships. Since he was a kid, Buffett has always wanted to make money. And this comes from the fact that during the financial crisis, his family has lost an enormous amount of money. And so they were having difficulties when he was just a little kid. And that's why when he was still a child, he told his parents that he would be a millionaire by his 35th birthday. Or otherwise, he would have jumped from the tallest building in Omaha. And at 6, he was buying chewing gums from his grandfather's grocery store and selling them door by door. And after that, he started selling soda because he saw it was more successful. And he was trying so much to earn money, to find new ways to do it, that he was spending days in front of banks registering the plates of the cars passing by in order to sell the plates to the police in case of a robbery. And while doing all of that, he showed that he was very talented with math and that he loved reading. And that's why he was spending a lot of time in the Omaha library. And one day he read a book that really marked him, which was 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000. And especially that even if you don't have a lot of money, you can generate wealth. And thanks to all these entrepreneurial activities, at 11 he already had $120, which right now would mean more than $2,000. And since he was reading a lot, he already learned a lot about investing, and that's why he already knew about the concept of compound interest. And that's why, as soon as he could, he started investing, and he bought his first stocks in Cities Services. But just after the investment, the price of the stock just went down super rapidly, and Buffett got really worried about it. And as soon as they got higher, he sold them for a mere profit of $5. But after he sold the stocks, the price of City Services got higher and higher, and if he had only waited a little longer, he would have doubled his initial investment. And this is one of the first key learnings for Warren Buffett's career, so that you don't have to fixate on the price you paid, and also that you don't have to rush on small profits. The Buffett family had to move from Omaha to Washington when Warren was just 13 because of his father's job. And in this city, Warren, while studying, started to deliver newspapers door by door with his bike. And he was working so much that at 14 he already had $1,000, which right now are almost $15,000. And he even had to file his first tax return at 14. And imagine that he had studied so much about finance already that he knew that he could deduce things like the usage of his bike for delivering newspapers. And during this period, he was earning almost $200 per month. And if you imagine that an engineer at this time was earning about $350, it is incredible how at 14 he was generating so much money. And thanks to this newspaper delivery, at 15 he already had $2,000. And that's when he did his first investment. When he was a kid, he had worked at his grandfather's grocery store, and during this time he understood he didn't like to work. And that's why he bought a land of 40 acres with a mill where he put a farmer to work for him, and they were splitting their profits. And he continued this investment for 5 years, and he sold it for $2,000, almost the double he paid it. During high school, Buffett continued with all his entrepreneurial activities. Especially, he started buying used pinball machines for $25 with a friend. They would repair them and then place them in barbershops in strategic locations. And just after some years, at the end of high school, they sold the business for more than $1,000. And here the key takeaway of this period of Buffett's life is that he already had at a young age a mentality towards money, towards earning and generating money. And none of these activities made him rich as it is now. They surely contributed when he was a kid, but the most important thing is that they all helped him to understand how to generate money. After high school, Warren didn't want to go to university because he thought that it would slow him down from becoming a millionaire. However, his father obliged him to go to university, and so he went to Wharton in order to study economics. And that's where he actually learned how businesses work, how to run a business, how to understand a business. And especially, he started studying during these years accounting, which he says it is the language of businesses. And during his studies, he also started investing more and more. And as everyone has done, he also tried to be a day trader, but he did it without success. And so over the years, through all these entrepreneurial activities, at 18 he already had more than $9,000, which is almost $100,000 of today's money. Which, if you think about it, is just crazy. It's incredible what he already achieved at 18. And as when he was a kid, he was continuing to devour books, and especially he found one that has illuminated Buffett and his way to make investments. And this book is The Intelligent Investor from Benjamin Graham. And this might probably be the most important book in Buffett's life, because he learned a lot about what is the intrinsic value of a company, how to calculate it, what is Mr. Market and his mood, and why you shouldn't care about the different ups and downs that you have every day in the market. And also how important it is to have a margin of safety in order to reduce your risks to the minimum. And that's why he decided to go to Columbia University to do a master course, because Benjamin Graham was teaching there. And despite being an average student during high school, here at Columbia he was by far the best student, and he worked really closely with Graham. And once he finished his master at Columbia with Graham, he wanted to continue working with him for his firm. But at the time, Graham's firm was only hiring Jews, and so Buffett didn't get the job. And so he went back to Nebraska, to Omaha, to work in his father's brokerage firm. But he really didn't like it because it was mainly trading. And so after pushing and pushing to Graham's door, he finally managed to get a job at his firm. And he clearly was the first non-Jew person in the business. And at just 23 years old, Buffett became the wonder kid of Graham's firm. And so at such a young age, he was already earning a great salary of $12,000 per year, which corresponds of a salary of $120,000 now. And so during these years at Graham's firm, Buffett managed to perfectionate his skills. And just 2 years after Buffett entered the firm, Graham decided to retire. And he wanted Buffett to take over his firm at just 26 years old. But Buffett already had more than $174,000 with him, which now correspond to more than 1.6 million. And so he just wanted to retire. But clearly, what is retirement for Buffett? It is investing. So that's why he decided that he wanted to start his own partnership in Nebraska. And so he opened Buffett Associates, which is an investing firm open only for his family and his close friends. And in this way, he was earning part of the profit generated with others' money. And imagine that in the first 5 years of business, he had a return of more than 251%, whereas the Dow Jones only had a return of 74%. And now the interesting thing is, how was he doing that? And it is thanks to the cigar butts strategy, which is like making a last puff on a cigar before throwing it. And this would mean to buy cheap companies, for example with a really low price earnings ratio, or which were really cheap compared to the assets that they owned, because this type of company would have surely had a correction in price over a short time of time, so talking about months or just a couple of years. And so basically what he was doing was to buy mediocre companies at bargain prices. And he did that a lot of times. And here is a key learning also for us, because this is something that we can do. Clearly, to do that, the knowledge of the industry and the knowledge of accounting are extremely important. However, you have, for example, a book like The Little Book That Beats the Market, of which I have a review here, can really help in having such an approach. However, this approach is limited at some point, because when you have a lot of money, you can't just invest it in a lot of small companies which are cheap, because it's really difficult to find that many companies and also to manage them all at the same time. And the person that made him realize that is Charlie Munger. They met in 1959, and since then they've always collaborated, and even now they run together Berkshire Hathaway. And the thing that Charlie asked Warren was, why wouldn't we buy great companies at fair prices? And that's the approach that Buffett got after meeting Charlie Munger. And since this moment, the growth of Buffett's wealth has just been exponential. At 30, he was a millionaire, and he started to build a portfolio of great companies like Chevron, the Washington Post and Coca-Cola. And all these made him a billionaire at 59 in 1990. And continuing with this strategy, he bought great companies at fair prices like American Express, Bank of America, and even Apple, which represents almost 50% of his portfolio right now. And doing that, in 2008, he became the richest person in the world. And now he has a net worth of more than $100 billion. And this new strategy that he is using even right now is one of the key daily learnings of his story, because this is something that everybody can do. And different books like The Intelligent Investor, those that I reviewed in this video, and clearly even more, can really help you in investing like Warren Buffett, investments that are made with the principles of intrinsic value and safety margin. And so this is Warren Buffett's story on how he became the greatest investor ever. And this is a story that for me it is incredibly inspirational, because from nothing he learned how to invest and became one of the richest person in the world just by doing what he liked. And there's so much to learn from him. I mean, every interview he gives, every book has been written on him. There's always things that you can learn from him that you can also implement in your investing activities. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like videos like this, subscribe to this channel. And so, thanks for watching and see you soon.